Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Real quick, I want to talk about something that is really fascinating. At least it's fascinating to me. As you may or may not know, we played our second game of Uncharted Worlds the other night, and I had a lot of fun playing that. And one of the talks we've been having as a group is, hey, why don't we try playing these characters? Or at least this is my idea. Why don't we try playing these characters that we've had created in this group, including my GM character, because I decided why don't we just rotate some GM duties and play a scenario that we've kind of created, but play it with different systems. We've played it with Uncharted Worlds. Why don't we maybe play it one more time that way and let Sam run Powered by the Apocalypse the way that he understands Powered by the Apocalypse to be run, because he's the guy with the most experience. But after that, why don't we play these guys using the Fantasy Flight narrative dice system that you'd find in Genesis or Edge of the Empire? And that's kind of our plan, what we're gonna do next. But then after that, why don't we try to play these characters using the Ubiquity rules? Maybe we'll play them using kind of like the OSR, White Star rules, or we could play Starfinder, or whatever. Try some different systems. And my intention was with that to see, well, geez, would this feel differently if we are using different systems, if the mechanics of the systems are different, if the probabilities are different, if the skills, or how the skills or the competencies of these characters are represented is different. Is it mechanical? Is it something that we just assume that this character is competent? Or if it backs it up, how does it back it up? What are the procedures? All the kind of good stuff that goes into any game system. And for me, one of the interesting things about this would be, would this feel different? We still come to the table with the same characters, same personality, but would the system maybe inform what the personality of that character maybe morphs into? Would the tendency for them to succeed or fail, would that change how the game felt? Would the kind of results that showed up on the dice and the way the system would kind of push us in one direction or another, would that change the experience of the game? I thought that might be kind of an interesting experiment. And we've been having a very lively discussion about various aspects of this, and about role-playing and games and systems in general. But Jason brought up one great point. He actually brought up several good points, but this is what I want to discuss here. He mentioned in sort of a rebuttal internal video to me. It might not even be a rebuttal, but just consider this: the idea that when you start a game, the game really starts at character creation, and part of how you view this character is based upon what the character is represented as mechanically. And if and he made the point that, like, when he created his character in Uncharted Worlds, the personality of this character, the conception or the concept that he had for this character, kind of emerged from a good extent from what the character creation rules informed him this character was going to be like. And when he created a character in Ubiquity, his concept of what that character was going to be like was highly informed by that character generation method. When we're playing our 2D20 Star Wars games, same thing. The character creation process itself, the life path, how your character gets represented mechanically, will kind of give you this impression of what they're going to be like. How the system, how you actually end up interfacing with the system in order to represent that character. All the kind of good junk that goes into it. And his point was that you can't necessarily import one character from system A and put them into system B, because a part of the creation process itself, from nothing, gives you a good or forms a good part of the final concept you have of that character, the way you play them, which I thought was really interesting. I've certainly had that experience, but my perspective was it should be easy to kind of import these guys once you know what they're like, and then look through the next system and see, okay, what here fits within the normal character creation parameters to best represent this concept that I'm already bringing to the table. I have experience with friends, especially, who have decided right in the middle of a campaign, I don't want to play Fantasy Flight Star Wars. I think it would be better to play these guys with Fate. I think we'd enjoy this better. And boom, converted all the characters to that. And Fate's another system. It'd be kind of cool to try these guys with. Why don't we try as many as possible? At least that's my idea. But I understand where Jason's coming from as well. System matters. I have a lot of friends that simply, if they want to play, if they like a particular system, well, it's attached to a game. It's already attached to a certain concept, intellectual property, perhaps, idea. You know, the game was built from the ground up to support this particular genre and what have you. And so just because you like the system doesn't mean you should go and use it for something else. And I understand that, respect that perspective. However, you know, I find it kind of interesting to see what would happen. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that. You know, how do you view just yanking characters out of one particular system and putting them in another? Do you think that's doable? Do you think that character creation process itself is so vital that you really can't do it and have the character be the same person? I'd like to get some responses, some feedback on that, if you will. What do you think?